amateur presentation.
Welcome back to another Untitled movie review. I am one of your hosts, Matt Rohrbeck. Alongside, he's allergic to tomatoes, but he is tomato meter approved, Eric Marchin.
Are you ready for a mind movie?
Hell yeah, dude. Today we are reviewing Christopher Miller's The Afterparty, the first 3 episodes on Apple TV Plus. It's only a Christopher Miller joint, not a Phil Lord and Chris Miller joint, which I think is kind of interesting. But a series that, Eric and I, we talked about it a lot. Movie theaters are shut down in Ontario again right now. We're kind of pivoting to reviewing even more streaming stuff because that's what we have available to us right now. But this was always something that was definitely on my radar. I think on Eric, yours as well, because we're huge Phil Lord and Chris Miller fans. I think they are the kings of guys taking weird ideas or bad ideas and turning them into very, very funny and creative projects. 21 and 22 Jump Street are 2 of my favorite comedies. I love the Lego Movie. Clone High, which I recently started watching that Eric always told me I would love.
So good.
Is really, really great. So when I heard that they were, or at least Chris Miller was doing a murder mystery series for Apple TV Plus, where every episode would be a different genre of film told from someone else's perspective, I was like, that sounds amazing. I am absolutely into this. So Eric and I are going to review spoiler free for the most part. Like, we'll kind of give details on what those genres are and things like that, where I think
for the first 3 episodes, because that's all we can talk about.
Yeah. We will probably revisit this, whether it's on the main show, the Untitled Movie Podcast, on a week-to-week basis, or maybe when the entire series is over. I mean, you could even review each episode because they are like a little mini movie each time, but because of the genre change. But for this episode, we are spoiler-free reviewing the first 3 episodes of The Afterparty on Apple TV Plus. Mind you, we will kind of talk about what the genres of each episode are and certain things like that. So certain things might, if you don't want to know anything about these and what genres will be showcased and things like that, feel free to bail out and come revisit this once those first 3 episodes are out. But we will talk a little bit about those genres that they cover and things like that. Eric, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just a little tired, but I watched this the other day and I had fun with it. It's one of those shows where, like, to your point, Lord and Miller, but in this case, Miller solo. We should also mention, I couldn't find her relation, or if she is related, but Cassia Miller is a story writer on this, and I don't know if she's related to Christopher
I'm
Miller
not sure
in any way, but I was trying to look that up and I couldn't find anything. But what I found the most intriguing is that we're getting a lot of these whodunits kind of coming back now with Knives Out. And
do you think that's because of Knives Out or Murder on
I think a little bit of both. Yeah. I think specifically maybe more so Knives Out kind of being the one that both did really well, but I think Knives Out really kind of brought the Agatha Christie sort of classic murder mystery story back. And so with that, you are getting these single location detective stories unfolding over the course of so many hours or in this case a night, and sort of the framing device being that this beach house becomes the crime scene after this pop star played by Dave Franco, Xavier X, is found dead with shrimp. There's a really funny joke about the shrimp are from the ocean. I couldn't stop laughing at.
There's so many good bits. There's so many
and Tiffany Haddish kind of playing the Poirot of this storyline.
Danner.
And her kind of being the detective on the scene, but she's not supposed to be the one to kind of be the head detective on the case.
She's kind of going behind her chief's back to try to figure this out before they send in the wolf, like the number one guy. Or whatever.
Who's like the ringer, who kind of comes in and sort of, takes all the credit for this kind of stuff. It's almost like the way that Evan Peters' character comes into Mayor of Easttown, where exactly kind of the showier character. and so she is investigating this murder and interviewing the suspects, all of whom have come to this after party from a high school reunion, and the high school reunion was for the class of 2006. And so each episode,
Man, that hurt me because I'm like, wait, I think I'm a class of 2006.
well,
like,
yeah, no, we are,
like,
because like that was 15 years ago now, and 2006 would have been your last. I would have been 2005.
I think you're a year before them. I'm the exact year they graduated, dude. So we can't talk about later episodes, but when we get there, I can't wait to talk about it, because there's some stuff where I'm like, made me feel, I was just like, oh no, but I love this. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah, the dogs are agreeing with you on this case, but yeah, so
your Bronco Henry handkerchief just showed up.
Yeah, so these dogs are these characters. Some of them could be dogs, because some of them are suspicious, but like each episode is sort of focused on one character giving their
version
statement
of the story.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, again, like that Rashomon kind of thing where like you go back, but instead of like it just being the same thing told to you, it's told in a genre of film. So you get, a movie musical, you get a Fast and the Furious action film, you get a rom-com, and the actors that are playing these roles are people like Sam Richardson and Ike Barinholtz and Ben Schwartz. And what I actually kind of liked, I mean, I didn't like the movie, but I thought it was kind of funny. In the second episode, you have Ike Barinholtz being interrogated by Tiffany Haddish, and they both work together in Ike Barinholtz's directorial debut, The Oath, from a couple years ago. So that I thought was kind of interesting.
Your dogs are losing it.
It must be a package, or I ordered dinner not too long ago, so maybe that's coming as well. But I apologize for people that want to listen.
I think it's funny, but keep going.
To this. But yeah, so basically you have these characters recounting the events of the night, and going back to this high school reunion and sort of how things play out. Anika, played by Sam Richardson, is kind of this likable, dorky, love-struck kind of guy who had a thing for his chemistry classmate Zoe, played by Zoe Chao, and he kind of wants to reconnect with her, and sort of that relationship. And Ike Barinholtz plays Zoe's ex, Brett, and he's kind of like this over the top macho male who has an anger problem, but also maybe there's something more to him than meets the eye. But he also is weirdly sort of made to look a lot like Mark Wahlberg in a Fast and Furious movie, which is funny. And then you have Ben Schwartz, who's probably now best known as the voice of Sonic, who wants to have this weird sort of collaboration with Dave Franco's ex, because they had a ska band in high school. And so with them, you have, Ben Schwartz wanting to have his song or track blessed by Dave Franco's character. And again, it's sort of all these interpersonal relationships kind of unfolding, and sort of, each character having motives or motivation to kill Dave Franco, and sort of you kind of guessing like, okay, which character did it, but also this kind of like sub investigation with Sam Richardson's character wanting to get behind it all to clear his name, because he feels like he's the one that is like the most potentially going to end up in prison. And I even like that his like career is that he's a puzzle maker for escape rooms.
Yeah.
And I just thought of the movie Escape Room, so the whole time while I was watching it.
I've really enjoyed my time with the series so far. I feel like changing the genre up each episode, definitely. This whole episode, your dogs are just gonna be barking.
I apologize.
Nah, it is what it is, dude. There, I think that they might have stopped now. I think the change of genre each episode definitely kind of helps kind of change the vibe up of the series and give it kind of a fresh feel. But I love the entire cast. I've always thought Ben Schwartz was hilarious, going back to like Parks and Rec and him as Jean-Ralphio. I like Sam Richardson. We've seen him pop up in things here and there.
The Tomorrow War, Detroiters,
Yeah. The
Promising
Werewolves
Young
Within.
Woman.
Werewolves Within, yeah.
Which Werewolves Within kind of fits within this
absolutely the
milieu,
whodunit
right?
kind of thing. Ike Barinholtz, I always kind of like his goofy face showing up in places and just playing a moron. And Dave Franco just cracks me up playing this like kind of, you know, Justin Bieber-esque like pop star. And there is a bit in the first episode, Eric, it's the Hall & Oates thing.
Oh, Private Eyes.
I lost it. I was just like, this is the exact type of thing. And there's some cameos, which we won't spoil. And
it's kind of clever how Private Eyes comes back into play.
Yeah.
Like there's just things that like, you know, that they were thinking about, but you weren't. And when they come up again, they're like,
and that's the genius of
clever.
the show. And that's what I found myself doing each episode of when you're seeing it from different people's perspectives. So you have the layer of, oh, this is fun. Like, okay, yeah, this one is a romantic comedy. This one's a Fast and Furious movie. This one's a musical. And even from the filmmaking techniques, I thought are incredibly creative, whether it's from the aspect ratio, the lenses they use, the use of lens flares, the use of music, like just the way it's kind of shot. It just, you immediately get what genre is, especially if you're, a movie person. And I think even it's not as deep as like you need to be a cinephile to know what they're doing. But
even though there's a joke about that as well, where you kind of get a taste of that in the first episode, or like it's a recount of the kind of the strange
like
kind of
yeah the strange woman that's
Indigo, who like the art house like indie version, and it's almost like it's saying like, okay, some of these characters are going to literally not even be sort of main players, but will kind of like squeeze in, you know, like subgenres into the actual sort of genre of each episode.
Yeah. And I love that. And then on top of that, they have the classic, like you said, Rashomon or whodunit kind of thing, where you're seeing the same events happen, but from a different person's perspective. And I think it's done really ingeniously, where, depending on whose perspective it's from, you're getting things playing out, whether someone's faking being drunk, or they are drunk, or they walked in right after something happens, and you're starting to see,
or Zoe's daughter drinks the thing, or doesn't have the alcohol in the one shot.
Yeah, it's just because people perceive situations differently, and I think that's really interesting of them telling this story to this detective and giving their version of the events, and you have to figure out who's telling the truth, who's not, what parts are real, what aren't. And then on top of that, you have the cleverness of each episode being a completely different genre of film. And then, and that with Phil Lord and Chris Miller, I think you just have a really fun sense of humor as well. And poking, that's both meta, but then also just poking fun at itself and at the concept and at the whodunit. And just each one of these people, I feel like completely own their roles in these different genres, and they make it super, super fun. There's a really catchy song in the musical episode. And like, you can tell that some of these people are better at different genres than others, but like, it still kind of all works because everyone's very committed and they're very like, they buy into the idea. And we didn't mention like Ilana Glazer is also in the show, and she's great as well. And I just found myself, really having a blast with those first 3 episodes. And just really, I have no idea who did it. And like, or I have an idea. I don't know if you have kind of a thought already, but
I think I kind of,
I've seen more of it than you do, but
episode.
Yeah.
But like, again, you know, I'm only 3 episodes in, but you know, like, the one thing that is so childish but is so funny is how the word diarrhea comes into play.
Sure. Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff where Phil Lord and Chris Miller are so good at that, of like, you know, whether it feels juvenile on paper, they find a way to kind of make it work. And Yeah.
Literally on paper.
Yeah, I know. I feel like, and then they play with that concept of the murder mystery with those kind of either juvenile kind of humor or just silly meta jokes and things like that. And like the Private Eyes Hall and Oates stuff just absolutely killed me, and everything Dave Franco does just absolutely destroys me. And the shrimp stuff you're talking about, like I think there's
Oh,
something
my
to do
prawns.
with like with X, and like, you know, the shrimp keeps coming up and it has a big X in it, and like X marks the spot and like all this kind of stuff. Like I'm sure there's hidden visual cues and clues in there that like I haven't even gone back to kind of look for. But yeah, Nevis and I, again, I'm trying to be a little bit because I've seen more than the 3 episodes, but I will say they did not give us the finale. So that was the one thing where I'm like, fuck, I gotta wait until like March for the finale, dude. And I watched this like a month and a half ago or 2 months ago. But I'm having a blast with it. And like I think that I don't know if they've revealed what some of the other episodes genres are, but there's some really, really fun stuff, and they go to some places that um you know, I think everyone will be pleasantly surprised by. And I'm having a blast with it so far.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and again, like I don't think it's reinventing the wheel. It's
No.
just being very clever and creative with what it's setting out to do, and it's doing it very, very well. And it's kind of just fun to kind of indulge within, you know, the genres of film and how, you know, the mind movie is different based on the person's perspective and how things kind of play out and plays into their own personalities, and also how when another character sees it from their point of view and how things can be misinterpreted. I think that that's kind of interesting as well. And yeah, it's a, like, I just really like, after watching this and again mentioning Werewolves Within and Promising Young Woman, I just really like Sam Richardson. I just
So
think
do I, yeah.
he's a very, he, like, I want a rom-com with him because he's so charming and likable as a romantic lead, that like you really are on his side. And I don't know if they're setting you up for anything on that end, but like he is really good at being just kind of, you know, just very likable. And I think that, like, that I was looking for the word that the one detective calls him, like redorculous or something like that,
Right,
or like
yeah.
but yeah, he's very very charismatic. And
Yeah, Anika and Zoe's relationship I think is a lot of fun. And then I don't think we mentioned, but like Zoe, I don't think that's a spoiler, but like Zoe is married to Ike Barinholtz Brett character, and like that whole history there I think is really funny, and how they get into that, and really like Brett's episode being the Fast and Furious thing. I mean, from the minute
how he's like the coolest guy
yeah,
ever.
yeah, it's so funny. And like, and Ike Barinholtz is just so good at playing that type of character, um the like likable douchebag kind of thing, where I just think it makes for some really, really great comedy. And then yeah, the mystery on top of that is kind of fun. And I still I'd have to go back and rewatch the episodes that I've seen, but I am very intrigued to see how they wrap everything up. And upcoming the next couple episodes, there's episode 5 is a lot of fun. So I can't wait for everyone to see it. We're not going to kind of put a score on anything. We just kind of wanted to give you our first impressions. And, you know, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, I've always said, are 2 of my favorite, you know, filmmakers working. So it's cool to see, you know, Chris go off and do something on his own, even though Phil Lord, I think, does write one of the episodes, and he did obviously executive produce it under their production company. But it's cool that they're going off and doing things that they want to do. Even if it's not together. So I'm definitely down for that. So.
It seems to be happening with a lot of duos right now, whether they be related or not, where you're seeing a lot of sort of individual productions. But it does still feel, I mean, like, it still is a Lord and Miller production.
Yeah.
So, you know.
It absolutely feels like all of those things we referenced. Like, if you liked Lego Movie and the Jump Street movies and
Clone High,
like, I think you already kind of know what you're getting into, and there is a lot of that humor there. Like, I only kind of teased some of it where, there's some great kind of people that pop up in it that you would kind of expect, or you hear their voice and things like that. So
on a very special episode of Clone High.
Yeah, it's good. So definitely check it out. It's on Apple TV Plus. It streams January 28th, which is next Friday. The first 3 episodes, and then it'll be weekly leading into the beginning of March. So it's definitely like Apple TV Plus, I think, like low key is putting out some really interesting things, and like you basically, I think, get it free if you have like Apple products, basically.
Right.
Or it's not that expensive, and their streaming quality is top notch. I mean, we've been watching it on a streaming platform, so it's a little lesser, but if you watch the 4K like Dolby Vision versions on Apple TV Plus, they look really, really nice as well. Thank you all for listening or watching. We really do appreciate it. We have a conversation out right now about the trailer for Marvel Studios' Moon Knight. We would love for you guys to check that out, as well as a new episode of the Untitled Movie Podcast, our 111th episode, where we talk about Jackass and Tim Hortons iced coffee and McChickens and skating and things like that.
All the good stuff.
We also have a review for Yellow Jackets that you guys can check out. Another show filled with mystery in a very different way. But you guys can check out that conversation as well for the first season, as well as a review for the first 3 episodes of Peacemaker. And we should have a Macbeth review out either right now or very, very soon for you guys, which is also on Apple TV Plus. You can find us on YouTube. Just search for Untitled Movie Podcast. But the best place to find everything in one spot, head over to our letterbox. It's Untitled_movies. You'll get audio versions of the reviews, video versions, all the links to the YouTube, basically the conversations, everything's in one spot. So that's probably the easiest place to find us, is Untitled_movies over on Letterboxd. As always, my name is Matt Rohrbeck. You can find more of my work around the internet, but mostly at UntitledMoviePodcast.com, and you can follow me on all the social medias at Matt Rohrbeck.
And I'm Eric Marchin. You can find more of my video reviews on RogersTV.com/CinemaScene and on the social medias at EM6211.
Until next time.
Mr. Shapiro? Heather?
Oh, yeah.